Welcome to another heart-centered production by Headwater Sage.
Deb Burroughs,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and just thrilled about the opportunity in every way.
And so you are our newest wellness partner, and you're signed up as your salt and sauna. Is that right?
Salt and Sauna Wellness, yes.
Okay. And you're a cosmetologist by trade.
Yes, 35 years.
All right.
Very long time.
And in your salon, in your little real estate cluster there, you have some suites.
Yes, we do.
And is that what spawned the whole what do you call them? Extra add-ons or?
So I had an open concept salon for 12 years on the other side of Baraboo, and then I decided to move on. And this was a concept I'd researched for a while. So then I opened up the suites concept in 2019.
Okay.
And started out with 5, and then we ended up adding in 2020 before shutdown. And then.
Okay. What do you mean by suite concept? Like just or others?
Businesses. So we've helped establish, and helped start since we've been open over 20 independent businesses.
Okay.
So what we do is we rent out a suite to them, and they operate and own their own business within. And then we're just responsible for all the maintenance, cleaning and everything else, all the little details outside of that.
Makes it easier for them to just come in and everything's set to go. They don't have to worry about the maintenance.
Right.
And
They
all
do
that
their own
stuff.
scheduling, their own appointments. They're fully independent.
Okay.
And then we help kind of promote them as a community of a group of people that work together, and we kind of resource together then and network together, and we kind of help each other that way to grow it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can network and bounce ideas off each other, and
Yeah.
it helps make a big difference when you are new or growing, and you can have somebody that has more experience and maybe can say, well, I tried this, or, see if this works.
Yeah.
So it's great for ideas, because when you go into your own business, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could
There's
be
no-
overwhelming, and that community feel or family approach is
And everybody's been there.
yeah.
So it's kind of like everyone's on a different step of their journey. So you can help somebody who's maybe in the second step or the first step. Or,
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Nice.
yeah.
And you're located across from Queenstown Lounge. Is that right?
Yep, we're on the corner of Hitchcock Street and South Boulevard in Baraboo.
Okay.
Inside, there's a big, huge tan building. Actually, the front of our suites face the road. And then we have Hitchcock Street on the side, which is our other entrance, which is 507.
Okay. That's
So-
a great location.
It is, actually. It's been an interesting building, but
Yeah, that's a busy road. You don't think of it, but it really is a thoroughfare from people coming from, I'll probably get off the exit coming to Baraboo. They go by the Walmart, and then they head into downtown Baraboo that way.
yep.
Even, like, I take that way going to Devil's Lake a lot, too. So,
Oh, yeah, it's a great passageway.
yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
So when did you start the Salt and Sauna?
Okay, so in 2019, when I moved over to this location, started out with the 5 suites down below, and I'd been researching the holistic benefits of salt therapy for years. So when I was in the other location, it was over next to Subway prior to that, I had looked up the salt therapy, and I thought, this is so, there's so many health benefits of salt therapy, for breathing and congestion and sinuses and colds and all of those things. And so I was looking up units that I could maybe add as a touchless wellness service to, help people that wouldn't necessarily require me standing in there doing a physical job.
Yeah, sort of a do-it-yourself.
Kind of, yeah, like a session that could be an add-on thing to what I was already doing. And then I happened upon the infrared sauna benefits. So I was reading about infrared saunas, and then I thought, well, maybe I need to add an infrared sauna room and then a salt. Well, then there's this amazing company that I had been researching for years on the salt therapy, and they're the global leader in salt therapy. And halotherapy is what it's actually called. And then they had recently partnered with Clearlight Infrared Saunas, who's one of the leader in sauna manufacturers. And they created this amazing unit that is able to run salt therapy through it while you're in your session. And salt is corrosive, so if you just added salt to anything and was running it airborne through something, it can corrode all the metal elements and everything else.
In the whole room or building.
Right, exactly. So this unit is self-contained, and it's got a glass front on it, and it was specifically made to be able to have infrared sauna and the halotherapy, salt therapy run through it at the same time. So in one amazing session, you get the benefits of the infrared sauna and the salt therapy together.
And is it infrared light too, or is it is it just the heat?
Okay, so it's infrared, and infrared is heat-based. So the infrared actually comes from the ceramic speakers that are inside the unit. So what a lot of people don't realize, they hear infrared light and they think it's like you can see it. You actually can't see infrared light. Infrared is the longest spectrum of red light. So red light, there's the red visible spectrum that you see. Like if you see a bulb or something that's coated in red and it produces a red light, that's usually in the shorter spectrum of red, which is 650, 630, 680 nanometers of light. When you get longer, you get into the 800 nanometers of red light. And like 830, 880, 850, those are the longer spectrums of infrared, which is also invisible, but it is also heat-based. So like the infrared sauna is based strictly on the infrared, which is heat-based. So it gets hot, but it's dry. Infrared, because of the length of the rays of red light, it reaches deep inside your body to help alleviate things like pain, inflammation, blood flow. It helps get everything moving. It works as a vasodilator, so it opens up and dilates all your blood vessels, gets your blood flowing, so it helps to lower your blood pressure. It can work towards that. Helps with people with like arthritis. Any issues within your body, it can help to detoxify. If you think about too, like when you have a cold, your body will create a fever to help fight a cold. So, for example, an infrared sauna basically gives you a fever.
Yeah.
So it also helps to keep you healthy because it helps eliminate colds, flus, viruses, bacteria. A lot of those things can't live at high temperatures, so they die.
Sure.
So I mean, it's a great way to, there's a lot of different research on it. Like if you look up red light, it was actually discovered years ago by NASA, who would send their astronauts up to space, and then they would go, okay, now they got to cut. What do we do? Well, they started playing around with red light and discovered years ago that red light is the only spectrum of light that does not have UVA or UVB rays in it. So therefore, it is a healing light. And it helps regenerate the mitochondria of the cells like 100 times faster. So like people that have scars and wounds, skin conditions, acne, rosacea, fine lines and wrinkles, for example, eczema, psoriasis, skin conditions like that are all beneficial from red light. So
I've heard of the red light therapy in terms of like the take-home devices you can buy on Amazon, and it's like a mask that you wear.
Yep.
Are those legit?
So red light, you have to be very cautious and you have to do your research. So in my research, I've discovered that there's many different forms of red light. You have like a light bulb, which is, for example, a halogen bulb. It has a filament inside, and when you turn the light bulb on, the filament lights up and it creates the light from the bulb. A filament in that type of bulb, usually the bulb itself is coated red, so it produces a red color. Okay. When you have fluorescent bulbs, and they turn on, a fluorescent bulb, for people that are electrical, when you turn the bulb on, it actually emits a gas which causes the bulb to light. So a lot of those types of red light bulbs that are like a tanning bed style or fluorescent usually are coated. Same thing. The problem with that is when the light turns on and it disperses the red, you have no idea of what you're getting. It could be, you have no idea of the length of the rays, if it's red visible or if it's infrared or what have you.
So it could be and it could not be the healing type.
Correct. And keep in mind, if you look up the research on a fluorescent bulb, they do and can still emit small amounts of radiation like a tanning bed does. So you have to be very cautious on the modalities that you choose. The actual best type of red light is an LED style. Because they can specifically calibrate the bulb to be created to whatever length of red light you need. For example, like my panels they actually are FDA approved and medical grade, and there's 1,200 LEDs, and each of them has a specific wavelength. Like one might be 650, one might be 630, one might be the infrared with the 880 or the 850 or 830. So they're all specifically made and created to be that specific length. So it's quite interesting. And with all the skincare things and skin cancers out there, you really want to do your research. There's a lot of modalities that are LED that are for your face and things like that. And there are some that I think are adequate for use, as long as they don't have some of the other dangerous things like, EMF in them or other things that could be harmful to your body.
So for those of us considering red light take-home device for our own use at home, what advice do you have for us to find and vet out the ones that are good versus the ones that are maybe unknown?
I would definitely check to see what their certifications are,
Okay.
because there are certain certifications that are safer than others.
And what are we looking for?
I believe it's an OEM certification. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But if you look on the credentials to do your research on what the business, the core of the business is as well, because there's a lot of knockoffs. I mean, everything comes from everywhere nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But LED is definitely something you want to go more with. And the more LEDs, the more you get than the rest. And, reading too, and make sure it doesn't have the EMF in it, or very low EMF. 0 would be even better.
Okay.
Because that's in everything, cell phones and everything, and we want to kind of get that out of our bodies anyway. But
Yeah. So you mentioned the unit, the self-contained unit that
Mhm.
has the salt and the infrared.
Yep.
Is that just infrared and no red light?
Okay, so the red visible, that there's actually medical grade chromotherapy up above too.
Oh.
So you can,
So it's 3 things.
it's actually 4.
Well, what's the
So
fourth?
it's 4 therapies in one, aromatherapy.
Oh.
So I can also add eucalyptus or any type of essential oil as well in the session while you're in there. Plus the medical grade chromotherapy up above is LED lights, and it's in a square panel above you. So you can turn it to any color therapy spectrum. So there's different colors too, like there's blue, which helps fight bacteria. There's purple, which helps with blood flow, and there's yellow, which is uplifting, and orange too, which helps with mood, and there's red. So you can turn it, it's able to be controlled to any color. So all of the sessions that I have are customizable to what you want. So you don't have to have the salt if you don't want. If you do want the salt, you can have it. If you want to do the salt therapy without infrared, you can do that too. So you can adjust the heat to a lower temperature and just feel like you're sitting on the beach with red light and salt therapy. So
Do most people opt for give me all you got?
a lot of people like the heat, but then there's some that don't. So it just
Sure.
kind of depends on what you need.
Yeah. That day, their mood,
Yep.
do I feel like I need it or not?
And I usually ask before and say, okay, so what are you looking for? What are the people that want to detox, they like the higher heat because you will sweat.
Okay.
But what's interesting is with infrared, like if you've ever used a traditional sauna, you go and you sit in there and you're like instantly hot, and it's very moist. There's a lot of moisture in the air, and you just almost takes your breath away at first. But you notice with those, you sweat really quickly on the outside of your skin.
Yeah.
This comes from the inside out. So infrared reaches inside your body first, so it heats your core before it heats the air around you.
Really?
So when you actually sweat, you're actually sweating inside out. So you're detoxing more, and you actually release 80% toxins compared to water.
Wow.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a hot room,
Yep.
it's mostly water or
It's mostly toxins you're releasing from your body with the sweat. Whereas
Okay.
when you go in a traditional sauna, it's more sweating.
uh,
You're not cleaning out as deep
okay.
with the traditional sauna, even though you're sweating.
How often do you do it?
I try to do it once a week.
Okay.
I kind of alternate between that and like the sensory lounge and the red light, because all the different things all have different functions and help, but they're all good for different things too.
So I want to hear more about the sensory lounge. You mentioned that a little bit when you first got here, but before that, you had mentioned that you had spent a long time researching and discovering these benefits of salt therapy. Could you just expand on that a little bit?
As far as the benefits of the salt
The
therapy?
benefits of salt, yeah.
Okay.
How like the science of it.
Okay, so our bodies are mostly made up of salt, like salt water. Like you go to the doctor and they clean everything with saline. So everything is like salt is a crystal in and of itself, and it's a very jagged edged, sharp crystal. So because of that, it is not able to collect bacteria. Bacteria can't stick to it. So like if you've ever been in a salt room and there's salt all over the floor and people are like, how do they clean that? They really don't have to. Salt in and of itself, the ions from salt and just salt itself is antibacterial, 100%. So When you breathe it in, it actually sanitizes and cleans out your airways. So if you sniff in salt, and I don't recommend just going sniffing salt at home, please don't do that. This is pharmaceutical grade sodium chloride, and it's milled by a halo generator into like a dust. So it's readily breathable and readily acceptable into your body. And no, it does not raise your blood pressure. So we're going to just get that out of the way.
Okay. So does it enter the body in a different way than it does when you consume it with food?
Yes, absolutely. Because you're breathing it in through your airways. And when you think about even salt on your skin, again, because it's antibacterial, like if you have a wound, it helps to actually heal your wound because it kind of cleans it out a little bit. If you have eczema, psoriasis, again, it helps to heal that and get the cell regenerated in a quicker way too. So when you breathe it in even through your lungs, it actually does help with like COPD. Again, with severe things like COPD, you want to make sure it's safe with your doctor. You want to talk to them first. But it does help with asthma. And certain levels of asthma, it keeps it a little bit more under control. People that have allergies, sinus issues. I can honestly say that since I added it in 2019, knock on wood, but I have hardly been sick. Anytime I've had, COVID or a cold, it's very few days and it's gone. Okay. And usually what I do is I sit in the sauna, I literally cook it out of me, and I use the salt therapy to clean my airways out. If I feel I have a cold coming on, I will use the salt therapy, and it usually doesn't manifest too much more. Okay. Which is absolutely wonderful. So I can honestly say it absolutely works. So
yeah, as a personal testament.
Absolutely. And I a lot of the things I've added is because I've needed them. So whether it be for mental health or relaxation or just health in general. So yeah.
Awesome.
And the sound therapy, if we want to talk about the sound therapy.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So I started researching sound therapy because there is so much. I actually happened upon a video from Nikola Tesla. Okay. If anybody's familiar with who Nikola Tesla is, he's the one who created the Tesla coils, when they vibrate, they actually create a sound or a pitch. So if you think about, like if you flick a crystal glass and it has that kind of that heavenly hum, it kind of goes ping, and it just kind of resonates a little bit. Mm-hmm. It just creates like a response in your body. It's almost calming, and if you think years ago, we had those big church bells. When they would ring, they would literally resonate through the whole entire community.
Yeah,
and
why are they gone?
Yeah. I have my own thoughts on that. I'm like, how come all of a sudden they're all gone? But the response on our bodies mentally and physically, when you hear that type of level of sound, it's very calming. It's, when you think of like a harp or different types of instruments and things that just relax us and calm us. And if you're sad, sometimes you'll put music on, or if you just need to be uplifted, you'll put on some music that's like higher energy. A lot of those frequencies and pitches are higher on the sound spectrum when it comes to hertz than what we are used to hearing. A lot of our mainstream media and our music today is at kind of almost a lower pitch. So when you listen to, like if you ever hear spa music or meditation music, it's a different sound. It's almost like a higher, almost like a heavenly hum. And it's just very calming. So I started researching the sound therapy, and I was looking for ways to add sound therapy to kind of what I was doing for mental health, because I know how I feel when I hear something that is kind of more calming and relaxing. I thought, how can I make this into a service that helps people? So in my research, my first discovery was I discovered a sound mat that you lay on, and it's vibroacoustic mat, it's called. And it has a transducer speaker in it that actually vibrates to the music at different amounts, you could say. And then it has smaller transducers that actually vibrate at different amounts. But the vibration is more at a cellular level. So if you think of like an ultrasound, and ultrasound's pictures are actually created by the sound. So it kind of reaches in and it finds this picture and it brings it back. That's kind of the cellular vibration level of vibroacoustic therapy, which is interesting. So when you think of sound therapy and you think of different hertzes of music, people that have pain or migraines, Parkinson's, all these different things, they're actually, when our minds get out of sync, so our body flows. So if you think of your heart beats, it has a rhythm. Your blood pulses. Everything in our body has a specific rhythm. What happens is our bodies get out of rhythm. So our mind is full of all these things, and it gets out of rhythm and sync from everything else. So the purpose of vibroacoustic therapy and sound therapy is actually to put your mind and body back connected into a rhythm together. It's actually called brain entrainment. So when you hear these types of music, they're different pitches, different ears, different instruments, different sounds, and they kind of realign your mind to actually be more calm and think in a rhythm again, which then realigns you in your body with your heart and your blood flow and everything else. And when your body's in sync, it helps regenerate and you can heal.
Like a heart-brain marriage.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, our bodies are pretty intricate.
Yeah.
They were created to heal.
Right.
So it's a matter of getting them all together to work together. So the sound therapy mat that I discovered was, the music was created by a doctor of vibroacoustic therapy called Dr. Lee Bartell. Very interesting, older gentleman, interesting to listen to, and it makes so much sense when you think about music and how it creates a response in our bodies. I mean, everything we do and how we hear sound. So there's a whole lot of research out there on sound therapy. So that was my first thing that I added, and then I thought, well, how can I enhance it? So I actually coupled it together with light therapy. So you actually lay on the sound therapy with the vibration under a red light, and it is absolutely amazing. So for the longest time, I was like, this is just incredible. It's like mind, body, and everything all in one session. So a 30-minute session in the red vibroacoustic, which is the red light panels and the sound therapy, is very, very relaxing and just very healing. So you get the benefits of the red light and the sound therapy and the vibroacoustic therapy all together. In my research, I then happened upon the sensory lounge.
Okay.
That in and of itself. So if you've heard of like floating, if you've ever...
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it.
Okay. So it's a sensory deprivation experience. You have the lights, you have the sound, you have the floating in water. Like when you're in water, if you talk, you can hear yourself. You can even hear your heartbeat and everything else. Those are all sensory things. So, and I've looked at all the different research on floating too. I'm like, oh, that'd be,
Consider
never
that.
Never know. But there's even other options out there too with that. The sensory lounge, though, is like an ergonomic bed, and you lay on it. And that also has like transducers through it. And there's a lot more in the sensory lounge than on the vibroacoustic mat. You wear a headset. There's probably 12 tracks of music that you can choose from that were specifically created by a doctor of vibroacoustic therapy. There's a sound engineer. There's an electrical engineer. There's a psychotherapist. All these people got together and created these tracks of music, and they keep adding to them. But you can pick one. For example, there's one for emotional balancing. And the music in there is created to help you emotionally balance. But during the session, you're laying in there, you're wearing a headset. I also add a nice little relaxing, heated mask to it. And it's a full body experience. So it's vibrating fully through it. Like you can literally feel it from your fingertips to your toes, how much it vibrates. And it's at different amounts. So you might be laying there and it might be a vibration. Then all of a sudden it's really like boom, 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 like heavy.
It fluctuates.
Yes. But because of that, when you're laying there, you actually almost feel like you're being lifted off the bed and then put back down. It is absolutely crazy to even try to describe, but it is amazing. And when you're done, you're just like, wow. I had a gal actually tell me the other day, and it was refreshing to hear feedback. But she goes, I felt the effects of this for a week. She said, mind, body, she says, even spiritually, I felt so calm for like a week. And I'm like, that is wonderful. I mean, I appreciate feeling that it made a difference in your life. So I mean, it's, like I said, it's a session like none I've ever experienced. It's absolutely crazy. But they even have like people that are a little bit more versed in the chakras and things, and color in itself even has vibration. Everything is made with energy and vibration, so like the color red, there's actually a track on there for red, and for people that are into the chakras and things, there's actually like red chakra. There's all kinds of different tracks that I think kind of hit every person that could utilize it.
Okay.
For whatever reason. And it's interesting because there's even like some Om chants, like people that like the different there's one that's sound bells, Like there's different tracks with different pieces of music and equipment. It's really just crazy.
And those frequencies, because I have some experience with sound baths with live instruments, but little experience with experimenting with sound therapy through headphones. What's the difference there? And do those vibrations transmute equally from the headset to the ears to the body the same way as it does with live instruments?
So binaural beats are better heard through a headset. So the binaural beats, so there's alpha, the delta, the theta, and the beta as far as sound spectrum. They all do different things when it comes to our body. Like I believe the theta is the one that works actually with the mind a little bit more. So the different sound waves affect different parts of our mind. So the binaural beats are they reach a little bit more of the part of our mind that is not as tapped into, like the artistic and the creativity.
Sure, like third eye type stuff.
Kind of,
Intuition.
Yeah, like all of that. Creativity, like I said, the artistry. There's a lot of things that we do in our everyday that we don't kind of tap into some of those things. Like I said, the brain is very intricate. So the different sound waves, the binaural beats are actually better heard and more focused through our ears with the headset. So that's where and it also helps to remove any outside like noise in our minds, because we're just so full of everything going on all the time. So it clears your mind, and then you tend to focus better on the moment you're in, which really helps with the whole experience in general. So
because a lot of us, when we first start practicing meditation, we feel that we're failing at it because we can't quiet our minds. And the flip side of that is, well, that's the beginning process of being aware of our thoughts. Like you're winning if you feel like you suck at meditating. But do people find that they come in and sort of bypass that difficult process and get right into the meditative state?
I think so, mostly. But I always tell people, just when you're laying down, I always tell them, put your hands by your side, because then your fingertips even, you can fully feel the vibration. But try to relax and just listen to the music and be in the music. And I think that that's what helps them also clear their mind, because it is hard when you have a lot going on, and our brains were so used to thinking of multitasking 8 million things at once. So
if the sensory lounge had infrared heat and salt, you would have all of them added together, right?
Don't think that's not on my goal list. I mean, it already, even the red vibro combo is an amazing experience. I actually recommend that more for people too that maybe aren't as ready for the sensory deprivation, because the sensory lounge can be intense depending on what you pick.
Because of that. Because of the deprivation.
Yes, because it's all together, the sound and the vibration all together. So I usually kind of ask people well, let's pick a track. What are you focusing on? Is it full body healing, or is it, emotional balance, or rest and relax? So the vibration kind of adjusts to the tracks that you pick. Like if it's rest and relax, it's a little bit more vibration to relax you, but the music might be a little more calming for you. But people that might be not prepared for the intensity or have never tried it before, I might recommend the red light and the sound. But don't worry, there's more coming.
All right.
So, like I said, and for me, I sit there. I have actually used it with the red light panels over the sensory lounge.
You have?
Well, I don't have time, so I'm like, I'm going to just do all this in one shot.
Yeah.
So I ended up, unfortunately, having to move the room around just to do that for 1.5 hour session.
Yeah, that's where my mind went right away. Let's try them all.
Don't worry. It's the thing is a lot of the salt and sauna sessions that I've created. So you have your spas, and you go there for the day, whatever. People are busy. We're all busy. We don't make time for self-care. And we need to, not only for our mental health, but for our physical health. We all have so many tools in our toolbox, but we don't usually take them out. So the whole idea of the touchless wellness for me was to be able to provide something that, if somebody wanted to come over on a lunch session for a half hour, they could take a half hour and just try to relax for a half hour. Even if it's 30 minutes once a week, it is more than a lot of times what we do on a regular basis, because everybody's busy with kids and sports and running around and just living life.
Prioritizing everything else over our own self-care, self-love
And
practices.
And there's so much technology out there for holistic wellness, and there's so much more to tap into. And color therapy is huge.
Now, what's that?
Color therapy is like red light or purple light or green light, like brown light, noise, like white noise. Like if you start to see the colors of different things and you start to see all these like LED, like green or blue or red, like there's also a lot of calming in color therapy, and of how it benefits your body as well, just with the change in the color of light. So
yeah, like the old that special light for seasonal depression disorder.
It's like a tanning light almost. It's like a sunlight.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that's the other thing too, is like all the things that, sound therapy and the red light and even the sauna all helps with that seasonal depressive disorder, because, especially when you feel like it's cold and you just need something, it's wonderful for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah, there's a ton of technology out there, and there's so much research.
So you brought some handouts that we have. This is for salt and sauna wellness in general.
Yep.
Is that right?
Well, there's some on the sensory lounge, which goes further into the benefits of vibroacoustic therapy. And there's on the red light therapy and
so this is sensory lounge.
Yep, that's the sensory lounge.
And red light therapy and vibrational sound.
Yep. And this actually has a chart. If you look on the bottom, it shows the different hertz that affect different disorders in your body, like Parkinson's.
88 hertz for migraine relief.
Yep.
Interesting. All the way down to 40 hertz for digestion. So the higher the frequency sort of moves up the chakras.
Yep, absolutely. And it's interesting because, like, for the sensory, for the vibroacoustic mat, I actually have a chart on the wall which shows, so you can pick which track of music might best fit for your ailment or your issue, which is wonderful, because I'm like, okay, so what is it you're really dealing with right now? And they're like, oh, migraines. So then we find a track that shows which hertz of music for that, for the vibroacoustic mat.
What about emotional release?
That is... The sensory lounge is amazing for that.
So is it common to, is it a soundproof room, or do you hear people releasing in there?
It's a room that is private to itself, so you do whatever in there.
Does that happen?
I know I have had.
Yeah.
I've cried on the sensory lounge.
Yeah.
Because, there's so much, like I said, there is a track on there for emotional balancing, and sometimes you can't help but think of things while you're trying to relax. But yes, absolutely. There's a whole lot just in general self-care that can help us to emotionally balance and even just release. Music is wonderful with that, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah. I haven't had a personal experience with like a profound release or any sort of trauma release or crying or yelling or anything with sound therapy, but I've been a witness to it. I've seen it happen in group sound sessions where there's like profound epiphanies or releases of trauma that is like, because we're already touched on how magical the human body is, how we store emotional trauma and these powerful memories that happened in our experience. We store them in certain cells of our bodies.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't even matter what it is, but sometimes these sounds can just bring it out of us.
I have I call them cry songs.
Yeah.
I have certain songs that I actually cry to because they are so powerful to me, even with their words, that they bring an incredible emotional letdown response for me.
What's one of them?
Well, I personally am a Christian, and I have this one called Worn. A lot of people have probably heard it, but it talks about, I'm tired, I'm worn, my heart is heavy, the work it takes to keep on breathing. And, I know I make mistakes, and I've let my hope fail. And I trust that you'll basically pick me up and carry me on. And just those words, I'm like, I'm tired. And all of a sudden I'm just crying. So
that's beautiful.
I mean, it's just, I always tell people, just find a good cry song and just sit in your car. We as people, even men, it's hard to show emotions sometimes for people. And there's a lot of people walking around that just won't show emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. It's okay to show emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. Let your friends know you are, though, because we're all here together as a community to help each other. And it gets so easily forgotten because everybody has to be strong. No, you don't.
Yeah,
we're human.
That's a false masculine trait that we've all grown up with, that be tough, especially for guys.
Yep.
Don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix it yourself. Don't talk about it. But for my personal experience, with breath work, the breathwork session I did that I really released the first time was a couple really intense, loud songs, and those are put in there on purpose to bring your energy up during the heavy part of the breath session. But then at the end, the relaxation part, you can get the entire group of 30 people crying at the same time. And
wow.
That song was In the Arms of an Angel, like played acoustic by a woman. And
wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is very powerful. But again, there's a community there, and being able to see that you're all people. We're all human. We all fail. We all succeed. We all, need others. And we don't ever have to do this alone, ever. This life is not meant to be alone. We are meant to be with people.
Yeah.
And to help each other out. So.
Yeah, we are interconnected beings, all one, just interacting with each other.
Absolutely.
And we're community based. If we don't have that, it's we feel lost.
Agreed. So.
Well, thank you for sharing all of the information that you have that you shared just now. I can't wait to use one of those passes that you brought
Absolutely.
in personally. I promise I'll only use one. I'm going to give the rest away, but I'd like to be able to speak firsthand on that's.
You have to experience it to even be able to talk about it. It's just crazy. I
can't wait. Do you have any questions for me or the foundation?
I am just really excited to know that there are resources out there. We've had, unfortunately, firsthand experience with loss when it comes to friends and family that we just kind of didn't see where they were at.
Mm-hmm.
And the lives and how it touches them. There's such a need for mental health. And just like I said, always checking your friends. That's the one thing that I found with my industry. I always kind of was like, I always wanted to be a hairstylist. I don't know why. Ever since I was in 7th grade, and back then it was looked down upon. Like you're going to cut hair. Like it was just this thing. I can honestly say, in all of my years, I'm the part of people's lives, the good, the bad, the sad, the weddings, the hard times. So many different moments that I can be part of. I've had so many deep conversations with people, and I kind of now look at it as my opportunity to see if I can guide them in some way, help them in some way, maybe help them with a realization or an actualization of where they're at, or just to know that we're here.
Just to be that ear,
right,
the ear
right.
to bend.
We're all here to help you if you need to talk, or if you're not sure, then you need to find somebody to talk to. And it's so, like I said, everybody's like, oh, the hairstylist is your therapist. We don't mean to be, and we're not, whatever. And sometimes people dump a lot of stuff on you that you really don't need or want. But I do feel that in my journey, I wouldn't trade it. I've just had some people have helped me when I'm sad or depressed, or, we have to go to work and we have to put on a happy face like everything's all hunky-dory in our life, and our life might be completely falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't talk about it. Like, how's the weather today?
Yeah.
But you never know what somebody's going through at the time. You never know what they've been through or where they've come from. And just being kind. Be kind and just see people for what they are. They might be having a really bad day because there's something really bad going on, and you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And we forget that. Yeah. So I'm just grateful that I am in the profession I'm in because I feel like I can help other people that way. It's just a very unique segment, I guess. But
well, thank you for playing that role.
I'm grateful for it.
Everybody needs that that person they can be open with, that they feel is just a compassionate ear that's not going to judge them, and that's easy to pick up on that energy, and it's easy just to feel compelled to open up when you know somebody, you're in the presence of somebody who's like that. So I'm sure that's why you're a successful cosmetologist.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for sharing all that, and thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you very soon.
All right.
Making an appointment. I'll come down there with my wife, and we will.
Sounds good.
We will test drive
You
this.
can even do the sauna together too.
We can. Okay. I was going to ask you that.
Have a
Is there
shared-
any?
Yes. So you can do a shared sauna session together and
Okay.
have like a little couples date.
Okay.
And actually in the red light and sensory, it's a red light sensory lounge. So the red light therapy and sensory lounge are in the same room. So that's something you could do, and then you could even switch sessions.
Oh, okay. So we could
So
really
you could
experience
each
it
try
all.
the sensory lounge. So one could do the red light and the sound therapy, and the other one do the sensory lounge, and then you both switch.
Okay. Awesome.
You could have a little couples date day.
All right. We're going to do that.
All
We're all
right.
about that.
Sounds wonderful.
Well, thank you, Deb.
You are very welcome. It's a pleasure meeting you. I'm so excited for your foundation, and I will do everything in my power to encourage and move forward and promote it as well. So,
Awesome. Likewise.
okay.
All right. Thanks.